Hello, welcome back to another fun and informational video with myself, Jessica Benge, and my friend David Moyer with Keller
Hello.
Williams. And today we wanted to talk about a really cool topic because the market that David is in is heavy military. You know, we're right in the dead center of Wright-Pat Air Force Base, and the market experiences a lot of influx of relocation and outflux of relocation, right? And obviously a lot of these buyers, sellers that are coming to this Air Force base have the opportunity to use a VA loan. So we wanted to discuss a little bit about, relocating in. Obviously anybody relocates, but we're going to specifically focus on VA buyers at this time. And David, take it from there. Tell us, you've had some VA buyers that haven't even stepped foot in the home and they bought it.
Yeah. So the relocation of military clients here in and out of the Dayton area is huge. Because we have Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is one of the largest civilian Air Force bases in the country, and so that's what keeps our market really steady here. And a lot of times I'll have buyers that will say, I am relocating. I have yet to receive my orders, or I just got my orders. Usually they'll call in advance and they will say, I expect to have my orders XYZ, because our military clients are planners, right? They're very well organized, which is great. And so they are always ahead of the game, typically, with their relocation. A lot of times they're used to it. Sometimes they've done this 4 or 5 times already. So yeah, I've had clients that have moved, within the continental United States from one base to another. It's a lot of virtual showings when things get a little bit more serious, or if they're visiting for a holiday or family that maybe lives nearby, then we'll do some in-person stuff. Or maybe they'll fly in for the inspections after we go under contract. So those virtual showings and everything are extremely important. But I've had clients all the way from Germany, stationed at one of our bases in Germany, that was relocated here to the Dayton area, to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And they actually did all of their home search virtually.
How do you do virtual? Is that with a FaceTime call, or how did you do it?
It's difficult because you do have that time frame difference. You do have how you actually connect to those people. I have an international plan, so if my international clients need that, we can do that. A lot of times they will prefer to do a WhatsApp actual virtual tour, and that allows me to send them 30-second to 1-minute clips at a time very easily. And so I can do that as I'm going through the entire home. They can text with me while I'm doing that. And it also allows for them to get all that information without having to necessarily, these people in Germany, their time difference was in such a way that a lot of times the showings that I was doing, they just simply weren't available. It was the middle of the night for them. They had kids, so that was a great solution. And a lot of times I'll actually, I have a YouTube channel, and so I will create a video on my YouTube channel, private of course, and I will send that video of that tour to those clients.
Brilliant.
So that they can see it on their own.
Innovative.
And yeah, right. And they can go back and they can look at it again and again and again. So it's a seamless process. It's one that I actually really enjoy, because I think a lot of times these military clients can strike out trying to find someone that's able to navigate that world seamlessly. And so they meet someone like you and they meet someone like me. And I think that's one of the things that we've heard from our veterans is, this was so seamless. This was so easy. That's the point.
And so, knock on wood, but all of the clients that have done this with you have been happy. You have been very informative as much as you can virtually. And they enjoyed the home when they actually got to the home and saw it.
Yeah, because that's important, is to be transparent and to be their true fiduciary. When you're taking someone through a home in person, they can open up the cabinets. They can look at that area that looks like maybe there was a leak or a stain. Mm-hmm. They can see those things on their own and then ask you about it. But they're really relying on me a lot when I go through these properties to open up those cabinets, open up those closets, go into the basement, look for any staining on the walls, look at anything that maybe shows damage, and really zoom in on it so they can see if it's something they should be concerned about or not. I'm not just giving them a tour like you would find if you go online and find a video tour of a house. I'm giving them the same in-depth look they would have if they were here in person. And you know, one instance is I actually had somebody that was highly allergic to cats, and highly allergic to cat urine specifically.
Yeah.
So I went out and bought like an infrared light, and I have it still. I don't use it very often, but I went through the house and videotaped me with the infrared light, going over all the carpet and floor areas to see if there was any evidence of cats or cat markings, and it was surprising. It was an informational thing for me as well. So it's just those extra steps, because that was important to them. And if that's important to them, then that's important to me. And I want to make sure they feel good about that, because they didn't have the opportunity to come here. Those clients coincidentally were moving here from Germany too. I had 2 clients from Germany last year. So, you know, that you just go the extra mile.
So you couldn't be successful at this if you weren't like you. I mean, detailed, fine-tooth comb, communicating every step. I mean, there's a lot to it. And I've thought about, you know, how you're so successful. And this is really one of those things, like, you are very over communicating, and that is the only way to be in this business. But specifically when you have clients that are buying homes sight unseen, and you want them to be comfortable and happy when they arrive with their family, the only way you could do that successfully is if you're covering every single base. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes exactly in line with, you know, everything on your end of the deal as well, because, you know, sometimes these veterans that we're working with or active duty personnel are very familiar with the ins and outs of a VA loan. Sometimes it's maybe the first time they've ever used it, or sometimes maybe they've used it before, but it's been a long time and they have questions about eligibility. You know, how does this work? Or, you know, I'm stationed here, but I want to get my family moved out there before the school year starts, but my PCS isn't going to be until, you know, the fall, let's say. And they reach out to you, and, you know, you're just a wealth of knowledge. And I tell everybody that when it comes to VA loans, that if you're looking for someone, and you've said this, I'm not making this up, I said, this is a VA nerd. This is somebody you need to talk to, because she really geeks out on knowing everything about how to service our veterans. And they love that, because they don't get a handbook when they become, you know, a veteran or an active duty personnel. They don't get a handbook on how these programs work. It's up to us to walk them through the process.
Right. And so relocating and using your VA entitlement, a lot of people don't understand that your spouse can satisfy your occupancy requirements. So to use your VA loan, you have to certify that you're going to live there, right? You can't use this loan to buy an investment property or a second home. You can only use it for your primary home. And so if you are looking to PCS, you're in Germany or wherever, and you're trying to get everything lined up, like David said, for the school year, all we do is, you know, yes, my wife is going to occupy this home, you know, until you're ready to come over. You can still finish out your contract, your obligation, wherever you're at, whatever duty station you're at. And then when it comes time for you to PCS to Wright-Pat, if that's in the cards, no problem. We can use your loan. Your wife comes over and gets the kids into the home for school, and everything's great. A lot of people don't know that you can do that. So
right. And if you don't have your PCS, or, you know, exactly, but you usually have some side of, I mean, there are ways that you can get certain confirmation by a commanding officer or something as well, correct?
That's right. You can, if you don't have your actual orders that are executed by the powers that be, we can do a little like circumvent that, and we can get a statement from the commanding officer. Now, my veterans hate doing that. They hate inconveniencing their commanding officers, but guess what? They know it's necessary. They know that it's required, and they all hate doing it because they're like, God, I hate, you know, whatever. Because it's kind of like, not normal, right? It's not like,
Yeah.
oh, and then you can do, but it is normal. They know that they could do it or will do it. So don't worry about that. If you have to get a statement from the commanding officer, they're expecting it, especially if
Yeah.
your PCS orders are not finalized.
Right, right. And I think what's interesting too, and something that I believe we've, educated a lot of our VA buyers on, is sometimes if they are, wanting to make that purchase before selling because of the circumstances we outlined, and they have the ability to do that, a lot of times they don't realize because they've been told, here's your benefits, it's stuck to your house, and that's it. They don't realize that there's a possibility that their eligibility and their benefit package could actually cover a portion of what they're purchasing. Now, it's not going to work for every single person that's doing this, but I know we've had several people that are well established in the military that are able to make their next purchase with a VA loan before they ever close on this one, if that's what they have to do. I mean, ideally, they want to close on their primary home and do that, but that doesn't always work out. So, am I right on that?
100% correct. So that is another misconception. They think, oh, I already used my VA loan, right? And a lot of people are thinking they can only use it one time, which is not true. You can use it multiple times. And yes, you can use it even if you used it on this home. So if you used it on this home, you live in Missouri, and then you're PCSing over to Dayton. What we do is some back of the house calculations. Not all lenders know about this. Sometimes it's called bonus entitlement. Sometimes you have enough entitlement left on your regular entitlement, but there are some hand calculations that we do, right? So it's very possible that you can buy another home with zero down, which is the huge perk of a VA loan. But it's also very possible that you could use your VA entitlement, which typically when you're doing the loan, the interest rates are a little better on VA loans. And there may be like, hey, we need a little bit of a down payment, right? So we do this calculation and we figure out the difference. And I mean, sometimes I've had a veteran put like 1% down, right? And that's still pretty amazing. You own a property over here, maybe you've decided to keep it and rent it out. And then you come over here and you into Dayton and you're buying another one using the VA loan, and then you bring $2,000 in. I mean, that's just amazing, right?
Yeah, and so, let's, maybe for someone that's watching this and they qualify and they have VA benefits, they've never used them before, and they're going, well, the rates are kind of similar. What do you think are the top 3 benefits for people that are maybe relocating, whether it be here to Dayton or anywhere who watch this video, that want to use their VA benefits? Like, for instance, when it comes to something most people don't think about, we do, PMI.
That's right. That's right.
So,
The PMI factor, there is no PMI.
right.
VA has what they call a funding fee, but that is just a fee that gets rolled into the loan, but it is not a monthly assessment like it is on these other loans. Yeah, exactly.
And that funding
PMI.
fee could potentially decrease depending on your eligibility if you have served your country and you have any sort of like disability factor or anything like that on your eligibility.
Correct. Any disability rating basically omits the requirement for a funding fee. Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, you can actually, even let's just say as an example, if the rates are the same and you're using your VA benefits for the first time and you're going, well, this conventional rate and this FHA, they're very similar to the VA. So why would I do this? There you go. That's exactly why you would do it, because you will probably more than likely have a lower monthly payment using your VA benefit than if you went FHA and even conventional, if you're putting down less than 20%.
That's right. That's right. So I do believe the benefits of the VA loan, if you have the opportunity to use it, typically the interest rates are better. Secondly, the guide, the VA guide really caters to the veteran, right? The mantra of the VA loan program is to get a veteran into housing. And it's not like cookie cutter, like conventional financing or an FHA. It's very, you can tell your story and be okay in underwriting, right? If you have factors that make your file strong. And I love that so much about that program. And then like David mentioned, the PMI factor, it's it's not compared to the other loans. They all have PMI if you're putting less than 20% down, and the VA loan is significant. It doesn't have PMI. It does have a small fee, but it just ends up being a better payment.
Yeah, yeah. And real quick before we probably have to wrap up here soon, I'll go back to the real estate side of things when you're doing especially these virtual tours, and if you're a first-time VA benefit user, or maybe you're not familiar with it. I've even met people that have used their VA benefits that I tell them something about the real estate process and they go, "Oh, I had no idea that was ever a thing." But there are stipulations. We've talked about this before. The VA wants to protect their veterans when they're buying a home, so they want to make sure that there are no hazards on the property that are, let's say, for instance, there's no serious lead-based paint, or there's no missing handrails. There could be a hazard, a trip hazard, or there's no broken glass, peeling paint, things like that. So, those are also the things that I take on, whether you're with me in person as we're looking at houses, or if we're going virtual and we're looking at all these. Those are the things that every single time I'm going to check those boxes. And the minute I find something that could be a speed bump in the appraisal process and your loan process, I'm going to point it out to you so we have a plan of action before we ever go under contract. Because the last thing I want to do is get to that point. Maybe you're already packing up on your end, because the military tells you when your movers are arriving, right? And so maybe that's already happening, and then we have this roadblock we have to overcome. I don't want that to happen. So I just kind of wanted to throw that in there before we kind of wrap up.
Yeah, the safety and soundness is what you're referring to. Minimum property standards, they have those, and David basically has them memorized, and actually has called me about things that, and has me research some things that come up that maybe aren't normal, right? And I go back to the guide.
Yeah, I mean, I can almost verbatim recite, how high a porch has to be, how many steps have to be going up if there's not a handrail, everything. So I'm always on the lookout for that sort of stuff, because I see that kill deals sometimes, and so we don't want that to happen.
All right. Well, this is a wealth of information for you. We're very passionate about getting our veterans into homes, and do not be scared if you're, abroad and, need to find housing. David will definitely take the stress out of that situation. And, buying a house is stressful enough. So reach out if you need anything, and if you need more information on this topic, because there's a lot to it, and we're happy to help you relocate. Thank you, David.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.